I've taken a fancy to your wife, and I plan to with her. And someone like you can't stop me. I just simply can't compete.
Stop it, Fraser. Don't you think you've caused me enough trouble already?
She turned away before anyone could see the embarrassment on her face. She was confused and didn't know what to do. Later that evening, after Fraser had left work, he stood on the bridge and watched the flow of traffic below, his mind lost in thought. As his thoughts coalesced, his gaze grew colder and more determined.
No matter how wrong I am, I can still endure it. But if anyone goes after Natalia, all bets are off. I'll personally send them to hell.
He took out his phone, found a number he hadn't used in years, and clicked on the call icon.
Uncle Sam, I'm in some trouble right now. I need your help.
What? Someone's trying to harm you? Of course I can send.
No, it's not that troublesome. I just need money to solve this problem. I need a few $1 million.
Old Sam sighed in relief.
You gave me such a scare. Look, forget about the money. Whatever you need, it's yours. But
He hesitated.
No need to say anything more. I understand that since I'm asking for help, my decision to separate myself from the family becomes invalid. But I can't return just yet.
Uncle Sam was excited to hear Fraser's words. He had been waiting to hear them for years.
good. This wouldn't be a problem. As long as you agree to return to the family, everything will be fine. You know, of all the successes for the Macklemore family, the one your father values the most is you.
Fraser became silent for a moment. He really didn't want to talk about this topic. He cleared his throat and tried to get the conversation back on track.
How long till the money gets here? You should still know the private account information, right?
However, Uncle Sam was still going on about the family.
Fraser, I won't hide it from you. After your father found out you were in San Clemente, he secretly purchased the largest company there, in your name. You have plenty of money. You can just go and take over the company.
Hearing that, Fraser pursed his lips. It seemed that even though he had been away from home for many years, his father was still thinking about him. Otherwise, according to the nature of the Macklemore family, they wouldn't have even considered buying a business in a place as small as San Clemente.
You'll also be interested to know that a member of the Orange County Chamber of Commerce has ties to the family, as well as companies and businesses in the local area also having strong connections to the family.
Okay, thanks for the heads up. We'll talk again soon. It looks like the days ahead are going to be far from peaceful.
Members of the wealthy class never seemed to be able to escape from their obligations. Fraser had chosen to leave his family because he didn't want to live a life of deception. But now, he had to face it bravely because his wife was being bullied. After letting out a long puff of smoke, he put out the cigarette and tossed it into the garbage. He then got into his car and drove to a corporate headquarters building across town. It was one of the largest companies in San Clemente, and he had been here many times during the past 3 months because he had been in charge of distributing and putting up flyers. The two women who worked at the front desk always gave him a hard time. Fraser walked into the lobby on the first floor and was immediately noticed by the two women.
Fraser, it's you again.
You really have some nerve coming here again and again.
Well, don't come in. You're not allowed here anymore. Look at the notice.
Take a good look.
You've been put on our blacklist, and I designed this announcement myself. How about that?
Fraser craned his head and saw that under his photo there was a short blurb. He read it silently. Fraser, a useless salesperson at the Philly Group, has repeatedly snuck into our office area to distribute unwanted flyers. This worthless person, whose wife has repeatedly cheated on him, is not welcome in the building. Recently, the women's restroom has been subjected to a peeping Tom, and we suspect that Fraser is the culprit. As such, he has been put on the company's blacklist. If anyone sees him on the premises, contact security or a staff member immediately. After reading the description, Fraser frowned and thought, if they don't want me to put up flyers, that's fine, but why drag my name through the mud? Fraser took a deep breath and resisted the urge to lower himself to the level of the two women at the desk. He ignored the notice and said coolly,
Tell Mr. Wilson I'd like to see him.
Now, who is here to see Mr. Wilson?
asked a voice from behind them. At that moment, a balding middle-aged man walked out. When he saw Fraser, he heaved a sigh and said,
Ah, so it's you. What are you doing here? Still trying to sell properties? Maybe you're trying to sell your own property. Here's a bit on the smaller side. Do you think my boss would like that? You are a fool.
Mr. Cole, I agree. Do you want me to call the security?
One of the women at the desk piped up. She reached for the desk phone and started pressing the buttons. Fraser said calmly,
Well, you're right about one thing. I am here to sell your boss my home. In fact, I don't want to sell him one property. I'm going to sell him 100.
With that, Fraser took out his cell phone and directly called Henry Wilson, the corporation's president. His tone was full of arrogance as he ordered Henry to meet him in the lobby on the first floor within 3 minutes.
You want to sell the boss 100 properties. I'll tell you what, if you're successful in selling your properties to Mr. Wilson, I will kneel down and I will lick your shoes in front of everybody here.
Robert was overjoyed at the foolishness of the young man. As soon as he said that, security guards rushed in. Robert was in no mood to waste any more words on Fraser. He impatiently waved his hand.
Not you again.
One of the guards cried as he recognized Fraser.
You may have gotten away from us last time, but you won't escape so easily this time.
Both guards advanced on Fraser as they pulled out their nightsticks to give him a beating. He stood and watched them step closer, a somber expression on his face.
All of you, stop.
Shouted a stern voice from nearby. The security guards froze, as did everyone else.
Mr. Wilson, what are you doing here? Can I help you with anything?
All eyes turned to the front desk, where Henry Wilson was standing, watching the unprofessional scene unfolding before him with disdain.
Why are you still standing there? Fraser, get lost.
Henry's eyes widened in shock when he heard Fraser's name, and he stared at the young man before him. It's him? He thought in wonder. It's really him? Henry snapped.
Get lost. You are the ones who should get lost. You fools.
You bunch of idiots. Do you know who he is?
He looked around at Robert and the others, his expression livid. Fraser jumped in to interrupt. He didn't want too many people to know his identity just yet.
Mr. Wilson, I presume. I hope that you are available to meet me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning at the sales department of the Philly Group to personally buy from me 100 properties.
Robert stared in shock. Had Fraser really asked his boss to purchase so many properties? He found himself even more startled a few moments later when Mr. Wilson spoke.
No problem, Mr. McMore. I'll be there on time.
The onlookers gasped and murmured to one another. Fraser turned his gaze on the stunned manager.
Well, now, Mr. Cole, I am an honorable man, but I don't think it's necessary for you to kneel down and lick my shoe. After all, your mouth is too dirty and smelly.
He glanced and saw that it was almost 6. He mumbled something incoherent about cooking dinner and hurried out. Henry watched in concentration as the young man left. Was he actually saying something about having to cook dinner? Why would someone of his power need to go home and cook something? He started to call out the young man questioningly, but saw that he had already sped away.
Mr. Wilson, are you sure about this? This man Fraser, he's not trustworthy. This might be a mistake.
Henry turned his cold glare on Robert.
I think you were the one who's making the mistake. Head to accounts and pick up your last paycheck. You won't be here tomorrow. That's all.
After saying that, Henry left without looking back. Robert watched the president of the company walk away from him. He just fired me, Robert thought in a sullen state. His face paled as he looked around at the two women at the desk. They stared back at him. One of them quickly tore down the blacklist. The remaining fear in their hearts had yet to disappear. Both women were thinking the same thing. Who exactly is that guy? Fraser. The moment Fraser entered the house, Natalia's family was on his case.
Can you see what time it is? Are you deliberately making your family starve?
Asked James, Natalia's older brother and Fraser's brother-in-law. Dorothy, Natalia's mother, who was busy in the kitchen, stuck her head out and said,
You're worthless. You think you're too good to cook for us now? Are you too good for this family?
Mom, I went out for work.
What?
Natalia cried, walking in through the door right behind him. It seemed like she had been crying.
Are you alright?
He asked.
What?
She snapped. Before he could say anything, she stormed off to the bedroom and slammed the door. Fraser quickly finished preparing the meal before going and checking on her. He knocked and then pushed the door open. However, he found that Natalia had her head down as she was going through her stocking drawer, recalling Moss's words from earlier that day.
So be sure to bring your stocking.
Fraser was instantly angered.
Natalia!
He shouted.
What are you trying to do? Are you really gonna humiliate me by accepting Moss's offer? Look, if you want to treat me like a good-for-nothing loser, fine, but don't do it at your own expense and reputation. Are you really gonna betray our relationship?
Natalia was shocked. She gaped at Fraser with her almond-shaped eyes. That was the first time in her memory that Fraser had been angry enough to shout at her. Instantly, a strong feeling of resentment rose in her heart.
Fraser, are you a man or not? You dare to be mean to me now? Have you even stopped to think about why I might be doing this? Are you really so foolish? Do you really think I would need to compromise myself like this if you even had the slightest bit of skill at your job? Was there a need to degrade me like this?
Fraser was silent and lowered his head in shame. Fraser's heart softened and his anger dissipated. He tried to reach out and give her a hug to comfort her, but she pushed him away.
Don't touch me! I'm really sick of you! After enduring for so many years, I'm tired of trying. If it doesn't work out, we do as my parents say. We need to get divorced.
No, I won't.
Fraser shook his head stubbornly in refusal. Natalia rolled her eyes in anger. For the past 3 years, Fraser never said no to her except when the topic of divorce came up. In these cases, he would become adamant in his protests.
Natalia.
Fraser began, his tone softer.
I know I've asked you to trust me before. Can you trust me again this time?
Trust you again?
Natalia grimaced. However, when she turned toward him and saw Fraser's serious expression, one that she had never seen before, she swallowed the words that were about to come out of her mouth. She didn't know if it was an illusion or not, but his demeanor gave her a sense of reliability and control.
Natalia, do you still remember the promise that I made to you? The promise that no matter what happens, I won't let you get hurt. Please trust me again. I have a surprise planned for tomorrow.
Whatever you have planned, don't try it. There's no way you'll be able to sell 100 properties. It's impossible. Don't make empty promises. Look, I'm not cheap or foolish. Even if I do meet with Moss tomorrow, I won't let things go too far.
With that, Natalia left the room to eat dinner with the family.
To listen to the full audio series, install the Pocket FM app now.